I read Eddie Jones's book about leadership. And one of the things that stuck out to me is a coach that, at this point, pretty much a 40-year career,
Yeah,
talks about how leadership styles have changed over the past 40 years and what was effective back in the day. I'm
yeah.
talking about early 2000s is very different to what's effective now, and the
Hmm.
cultural experiences of the youth coming through that program. I'm wondering what makes an effective leader today.
Yeah. Well, I think and I think Eddie's absolutely right. I think the skill set's changed. Um, I think if you were to look at Eddie coaching in 2000 versus now, I mean, it would have to be different to have that longevity in the game. As society changes, I think you've got to be really agile as a leader. You got to be willing to flex and change and grow and adapt. I think what becomes crucial foundationally for a leader is you understand who you are and what you stand for. And then the skill is how you transfer that to other people. Um, I remember being coached by some brilliant coaches, but they told me what to do and I went and did it. They never asked for my opinion, but I performed really well in that system. And I've worked in businesses that are like that as well. Um, I think the leaders today, again, and this is an Eddieism, mate. He talks about there's different types of leaders. There's connectors and people, and there's people that are driven by data and evidence. And I think you've got to understand where you sit in a realm like that. Now, I think it's more complex than just those two verticals.
Mm.
I think it's a really good way to articulate it, but I think you've got to understand where you sit on that spectrum, if you like. And then, again, as a leader, mate, play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. Don't try and be. And this burned me, mate. This has burned me multiple times in professional environments, particularly going in day one and trying to be something that I thought people wanted me to be rather than being me. And I think as a leader now, you've got to be really clear on who you are, but you've also got to be really clear on the needs of the people. So you've got to meet their needs as much as you want to be yourself. So that's the complex part of it is I have to be myself, but maybe change the skill set and how I deliver it for it to land with an individual and bring them in.
Think there's an element of humility involved when you're a leader, right? You need to recognize when perhaps your approach isn't working. When do you think that? What are some of the things that come up time and time again that are triggers for a leader to recognize that maybe their personal approach, their style, is actually now becoming the bottleneck of the system, and they need to revisit?
So I think fundamentally a skill for a leader is self-awareness. Therefore, you've got to be really good at self-reflection. I think the other thing that I've learned to do, Brad, is whether it's a business or whether it's sport, is to, when I first connect with the individual, again, like the last two teams that I've been at sport and then the last four businesses I've worked with at the onboarding stage is, how would you like us to interact? Is the question, the first question I ask. Is
Mm.
what do you want from me from an interaction perspective? Because that gives me a window into what they want and maybe need, but it also provides me something to reflect upon as well. Well, am I delivering that? Or is when I deliver that, is their behavior telling me that that's what they really want? So it becomes a reflection tool straight out the gates. Um, you've got to have a level of humility as well when you walk into a new organization that, like, I'm really comfortable with. I don't have all the answers. I never have had all the answers. And I would hope that if you went all the way back to Knox or Gordon, I very rarely walked in and said, this is what we're doing, without front ending it with conversations around what you think we should do. How do you think that'll land in game for you? How do you think the team will respond to that if we implement that this week? And that's part of the journey of knowing what they need, um, and then bringing them in, like we spoke about before. But I think the humility piece is absolutely crucial. And I would always, in an organization, my first question: how do you want to work together? What do you need from me if we're going to work together? And that just gives you a benchmark straight out of the gates.